Okay, so before I get into the meat of the review, I just have to address the elephant in the room. The pair of duck tits that happen in the first 5 minutes before the title card. It's weird, it's gross, it's uncomfortable to look at, and it just sets the tone for the entire movie of what to expect. There, I said it, now let's actually dive into this review. Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for Howard the Duck, which came out in 1986, was produced by George Lucas, and is the very first movie to be based off a Marvel comic. And what a great first movie this is, compared to what DC did back in the 70s. Wow. Just wow. The movie follows an anthropomorphic duck named Howard. He lived in a parallel universe where everything is dominated by ducks. The people are ducks, the movies are ducks, the Playboy magazines are renamed to Play Duck. It's just very, very bizarre. But after a massive earthquake happens that seems to only affect him, Howard is flown out of his world and transported into ours. And the rest of the movie is Howard trying to find his way back home while he's accompanied by Beverly Switzler, played by Lea Thompson. But he soon finds out that the very thing that brought him here also brought something else, something a lot more sinister and really stupid. That's all I'm going to say. Because this movie, I think everyone's in agreement on this movie. It is hands down one of, if not the single worst comic book movie ever made. And it may, I mean, you know what? I actually will say this right now. I like this movie a little better than the 2015 Fantastic Four movie. If we're talking about Marvel specifically, DC's worst comic book movie is Catwoman. I think that's better than Howard the Duck. That's not a compliment to Catwoman at all, but Howard the Duck is just so bad, so bafflingly bad, that it makes me look at Catwoman and go, I owe you an apology. There are so many things wrong with Howard the Duck, but the biggest thing that just really turned me off was its tone and just the overall feel of the movie. It's dark, but not in a cool, gothic, Batman-style dark. It's dark in the sense that it's mean-spirited, it's cynical, it's just a cruel movie all around. And the movie also has no idea what its intended audience is. Is it trying to be more accessible to kids and family because your main character is an anthropomorphic duck? Or is it geared more towards adults because of its cynical nature and some of the very awkward, bizarre, and uncomfortable sexual situations like those, but also the fact that when Howard the Duck has to go out and get a job, his job is being a janitor at a romance spa, and I'm pretty sure there's a point in that movie where you can actually see human breasts, and I don't know, it really is a bizarre, mean-spirited, and sadistic movie. And there's a lot of points in this movie where Howard himself is just abused to no end. I mean, I guess there's something sadistically enjoyable about seeing an anthropomorphic duck be abused by pretty much every single person in this movie, but even then, it's just, I don't know. That cynical nature is probably the biggest problem I have with this movie, but unfortunately, it's not the only problem. There's a lot of bad special effects in this movie. Howard the Duck himself, I don't think he's as creepy looking as some people say, but it's certainly not a great looking suit either. The animatronics used to operate the head just come across as very unconvincing. Most of the time in this movie, Howard the Duck is either bored out of his mind, or the lip movement of his beaks do not at all match the dialogue. And I find it even more inexcusable that this is being produced by Lucasfilm, the company that really revolutionized special effects for our modern era with the Star Wars trilogy. So the fact that this is the best they could do with animatronics is kind of sad. And then you have the Dark Overlords themselves, which are these giant, I don't even know how to describe these creatures. I don't want to say they're crab-like, but they're definitely a very ugly-looking alien. They're brought to life by Go Motion from Phil Tippett, And the go motion effects are actually not that bad, but it's just an ugly looking creature, which maybe that was the intent, and if it was, then they nailed it, but it's just not appealing to watch. The plot itself is just dull. There's nothing at all interesting about this movie. There's nothing in it that makes you go, wow, that was a lot of fun, but most of the time you'll just go, wow, that was really bad, or shockingly mean-spirited. And the rest of the characters beyond Howard are terrible. Tim Robbins is probably the worst of the actors in this movie, playing a scientist who is obsessed over Howard the Duck's existence, but he's no more than a lab assistant and wants to try to prove himself. Jeffrey Jones doesn't add a whole lot to this movie. And Lea Thompson, I want to know who she pissed off to end up in this movie immediately after starring in my favorite movie of all time, Back to the Future, because she's too good for this movie, and God bless her, because she's trying hard. She's trying to make this movie better than it really should be, and while she doesn't succeed, I can't really blame her for this mess, because it's more a problem with the script and direction. Although there is a moment in this movie where she does meet Howard for the first time. Howard asks her where he is, and Beverly replies by saying, "Oh, the planet is Earth, I think," although I'm not entirely sure anymore since I'm seeing a giant anthropomorphic duck walking around. And also, I gotta point this out right now. I gotta call bullshit on the Nostalgia Critic right now. When he did his review for Howard the Duck way back in the day, I don't even know how old that review is. But anyway, he showed the clip of Beverly saying, "This is Earth, I think." Then he cuts it off, and he proceeds to make a joke as if this character is just truly brain dead. But no, you watch that whole scene in context. She sees an anthropomorphic duck, so therefore she's probably in some terrible dream where she's not on Earth. So that goes to show you, kids, context is everything, even in a shitty movie like Howard the Duck. And make no mistake, Howard the Duck is absolutely terrible. I mean, you might get some enjoyment out of it for, like, it's so bad it's good quality. And if you're a Marvel fan, I think it's a requirement that you see, at least for historical purposes, because again, this was the very first movie based off a Marvel comic, and oh boy is it terrible. But as for a rating, I can't give it anything more than don't waste your money. It never made me angry, and I always reserve the Burn in Hell rating for movies that truly make me mad. Howard the Duck just fascinated me more than it angered me, and for that I have to at least give it some credit, but at the end of the day, it really is one of the worst Marvel movies ever made, and I don't think anyone would argue with that. And there you go, that's my review for Howard the Duck. Whew, man, that was a rough watch, watching that movie for the first time. But now we're going to move into a movie that's slightly better, and by slightly, I mean like maybe 0.5% better, and that's the 1990 Captain America. The reason I just reviewed Howard the Duck, why I'm reviewing Captain America tomorrow, and why I have a third movie planned, is because it's all in preparation for Black Widow. I specifically chose 3 movies based on Marvel characters that have popped up in the MCU, and since Black Widow is the first MCU movie in 2 years, I thought this would be I don't want to say the perfect time to celebrate, but it's an interesting look back at some of the heroes that have made it into the MCU. So, Howard the Duck is done. Tomorrow for 4th of July, we'll be talking about the 1990 Captain America film. But now I want to know what you guys think about Howard the Duck. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for Howard the Duck. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day, and take care of yourselves.